Hey guys, this is Jennifer, and this is the Jennifer Allwood Show, the podcast where you learn how to create a beautiful home and build a creative business. Grab a cup of coffee, find a cozy spot in the house, and let's chat. I'm excited you're here. Well, hello, my friends. Welcome back to the podcast. This is podcast episode 103, where I'm going to chat with you a little bit about being overwhelmed and getting some control over your time. I hate to name it time management because that just sounds so boring. And man, as a creative person, nobody wants boring. Nobody wants to talk about time management. Okay. But what creatives do understand is that we need to leverage the time that we have and how to control our overwhelm. And so we're going to talk about that today. And if you listened to last week's podcast episode on how to stand out in a saturated market, and you felt all fired up about doing something different in your business in 2019, but you just were left thinking, okay, I totally want to, but where do I find the time? Well, this podcast is going to help. I'm going to give you all the tips, a lot of my apps. I'm going to ask you to probably grab a pen and a paper because some of these I'm going to kind of give to you, and I think many of you are going to go, now, what did she say? Also, I feel like I slur. And I actually don't, but I think sometimes I talk fast. And so I want to make sure that you're able to write some of these down. But before we get started on the podcast, I want to just real quickly give a shout out for one of the precious reviews that's been on our podcast lately. I've been asking you guys, if you have a chance, would you please do me a solid and just head over to iTunes and leave me a review, because the reviews, they matter so much. They honestly do. And so I'm going to read a review from the Paint Lady. And her name is Lily Fields Vintage, the Paint Lady. So go check her out on social media. And this is what she says. Since my dear friend, Wendy Batten, and Wendy is someone who's been in one of my coaching groups from a long time. Wendy owns Front Porch Mercantile, so go take a peek at her business also. Since my dear friend Wendy introduced me to you, Jennifer, my business has started to evolve and mold into something more wonderful. You've pushed me to do all things with social media, improve my website, and help me to focus on the little things that make a big impact in my business. We're blessed to have you in our corner. And it goes on to say something sweet like, Jennifer, you rock. And I just want to say, to the Paint Lady, to Lily Fields Vintage, you rock as well, my friend. And I just pray blessings upon blessings over your business. So thank you for each one of you who takes time to go and leave me a review. So let's start chatting real quick, can we? About if you listened to the podcast last week and you're like, yep, girl, I got to do something different in 2019. Okay, so how are you going to do that? Because here's the deal. People always want to add something new to their business, to their life. They want to start an exercise routine. They want to read more. They want to listen to more podcasts. They want to make sure they're getting more rest at night, which is all fine and dandy, by the way. They want to do a course. They want to do a membership group. They want to write an ebook. But how are you going to carve out time to do that? Because if you are like me, if your life is anything like our life with busy kids, married, and my husband does like to see me on occasion, we already have a jam-packed schedule. Is there anybody that you even know of anymore who doesn't have a jam-packed schedule? It's funny, you guys, sometimes does anybody ever wonder back to the days when your kids were tiny and you were bored? There's times I think what I would do to go back to a day of boredom. And if that's where you're at right now, I don't want to tell you to enjoy it, that you're going to miss this, because I hated when people would tell me that. But I will just tell you that life does change. And with four busy kids, all with schedules, and a husband and I with work and schedules, things just get busy. And what I know to be true is that every time I'm saying yes to something new, whether it's, a workout, or trying to get a book launched, or trying to, get a course going. Whenever I say yes to something like that, it inevitably means that I'm saying no to other things. And so we've been really working the last few weeks and the last couple of months and really trying to carve things out of my schedule that are no longer a good fit for me and where I want to go, to take things out of my life and schedule that don't bring me great joy, to remove some things so that I have the capacity to say yes to other things. And I would encourage you guys to do that as well. So when it comes to overwhelm, the very best ideas that I have for you for getting unoverwhelmed are to take care of yourself physically, number one. And this is not sexy. So I'm just going to rush through this stuff because it's all stuff we know. So it's exercising, which, is not about weight loss or weight management or anything more than it is about putting yourself in a position of discipline, Because when you're disciplined in one area of your life, you're usually disciplined in all areas. When you're loosey-goosey in an area of your life, you're usually loosey-goosey in many areas. So if you're someone who can't get a handle on your business, you probably can't get a handle on other parts of your life too. It's probably hard for you to get a handle on your finances, a handle on your physical fitness level, a handle on your laundry. Do you know what I'm saying? And so exercise is just so good at bringing in that element of discipline into your life that will show up in other places. And hashtag endorphins, baby. When I am overwhelmed, my husband used to, I've quit running in the last few years because at 47, my body just doesn't like it used to. But Jason would say to me, girl, you need to go take a run. And I can remember times when I would be offended by that until it finally clicked on me one day. He wasn't saying that in like a, Jen, you need to burn off the 3 donuts you just downed. He was saying it because he could tell that I was overwhelmed. And he also knew that when I went and worked out, I would come back with things in perspective and a different person. So exercise is such a great way to get yourself unoverwhelmed, but hard as heck to fit in if you're already like cranked for time, right? So we're going to talk about that in a second. Eating well will help you also in terms of getting you into a place where you're not so overwhelmed. Because I feel like when I have control over what I'm putting in my mouth, that I have control over other areas of my life. When I down a ho-ho and half of a carton of raw chocolate chip cookie dough and make myself, a glass of hot cocoa and grab one of those Chinese mochi things that I was showing on Instagram recently. They're just so good. It's that Chinese ice cream. It's like eating ice cream wrapped in a donut. It's so amazing. So when I do that, I feel very out of control. And when I feel very out of control in one part of my life, it ends up making me feel out of control in another part of your life. So if you're feeling really overwhelmed, check what you're eating. I know this is boring stuff. The last one that's really boring is rest. I'm going to talk to my fellow sleepers right now. If you are already somebody who gets a solid 8 a night, I'm so happy for you. This is me. I have to rest and sleep at least 8, if not 9 hours a night. 9 hours a night is my actually perfect zone. And I know I'm married to someone who can sleep for 6 hours a night and be perfect in his world. So whatever is perfect for you, figure that out. Because when I'm not rested, I will feel more overwhelmed, even if I'm not. Everything is just slightly exaggerated. Do you remember, think back for those of you that had kids to when you were sleep deprived, when you brought a newborn home. And think about how like emotional you could be at times. It's because when you're not rested, when you're not getting enough sleep, you're a crazy person. Somebody needs to tweet me right now so that I know this is not just me. When I have not had enough sleep, I am not my best self, not even remotely. I think I take things out of proportion. I, tend to jump back with words that aren't normal for me. I tend to just be a little bit more hypersensitive. I'm telling you, I am not myself when I do not get enough sleep. And so hashtag napper for life is a t-shirt that I keep swearing that I'm going to make. But I used to have in my office a sofa, and I would force myself to take a nap for 15 to 20 minutes, just lay down and take a nap for 15 to 20 minutes every day before my kids came home from school. Because what it would do is it would allow me to have just a few minutes where I took off business hat and I rested, because I can fall asleep like before the end of this sentence is done on this podcast. If I literally quit talking right now, I could be asleep. But I'm not narcoleptic. I am just a good sleeper. And so some of you are the same way and you have felt guilty about this all of your life. Honey, you need some sleep. So if you're overwhelmed, take a walk. Eat something that's good for you, like Brussels sprouts, and get some rest. Okay, I know that's so unsexy, so we're out of that. But I wanted to give you 2 other things. So that kind of deals with like your physical world, right? 2 other things that I want you to do if you're overwhelmed and you need some help on getting your time managed, okay? Number 1, if you are somebody who does not have enough hours in a day and you are burning the candle at both ends, I want you to listen to this, okay? And you literally have 0 time for yourself. I want you to put on your calendar every day. I want you to schedule some quiet time for yourself every single day before you start your workday. And this is so counterintuitive, but isn't that the everything that's biblical? Isn't it counterintuitive? You know what I mean? In order to be first, you need to be last. In order to go up, you need to humble yourself. Like everything's so counterintuitive. If you need more time in your schedule, I want you to schedule yourself for quiet time before you start your day. And here's why. When I give myself quiet times, my friends, and I ask the Lord, God, have you seen my schedule today? I need some help. Will you help me to get rid of the junk that's in my schedule that's making me feel important, but that's taking me away from what's really important? Help me to get rid of the things in my schedule that make me feel like I'm successful. Help me get rid of the things in my schedule that make me feel like I'm doing stuff when I'm actually not. Get rid of the junk, Lord. Take it from me. When I start my day with that, when I'm like, Lord, I don't know how I'm going to get everything done today, but I'm going to need some help with this schedule. It is interesting how somebody will have to cancel an appointment or whatever. Also, when the cry of my heart is, Lord, help me to give myself more margin in my life. Some of you are running on zero margin, meaning when you look at your calendar, you have got meetings back to back to back to back to back. And if any one of them goes 15 minutes over, you're in trouble. And that, I'm going to tell you, my friends, that is not a way to build a business. It's not. It will drain you mentally. So start your day off with some quiet time so you can take care of yourself mentally. One of the books that I know that I love is by Lisa Turkers. And her book is called The Best Yes. And I think the tagline is making wise decisions in the midst of endless demands or something like that. And so I love that book from Lisa. If you know Lisa, give her a little shout out. Hey, one time she did tweet me, by the way, just because I tagged her on something and she tweeted me back and I screenshotted it. But I love that book talks about every time you're saying yes means you're saying no to something else. And I want you to be saying yes to the right things. And not to the things that you think you need to say yes to because of pressure. And usually, here's what I know from running a business for now 18 years, my friends. Usually the pressure is that I'm putting the pressure on myself. I used to feel like I had to respond to clients' texts and emails and phone calls and everything right away. Good customer service, Jen. Listen, my clients were not putting that pressure on myself. I was putting that pressure on myself. And so figuring out how to prioritize your time is so key. But figuring out how God wants to prioritize your day, that's a game changer. And let me just tell you, if you are someone who will be willing to sit down with some quiet time in prayer in the morning, some Bible time, some asking God what he has for your day, I need you to know he's going to mess with your schedule, girl. He's going to mess with your schedule. And you probably are going to be like me and not like it. Because you'll probably get interrupted by a text during the day from somebody who just needs a friend. You're probably going to get some DMs on social media from women that could really use some encouragement. And you're going to feel like you don't have time for this. And I'm telling you, when you ask God to rework your day, do not be surprised when your day becomes less about what's on your list and you see things pop up that are way more intentional, that require you to be present. I hope that somebody enjoys that. So let's talk about the very practical things right now that you can do in terms of time management, especially if you have a business. And this is what I wanted you to grab a pen and paper for, okay? Because I'm literally going to give you guys some apps and some tips that we use on my team and in my business that have really helped us tremendously, okay? So number one, I want you guys to download an app called Voxer. Voxer with a V. By the way, if you have an iPhone, and you say the word Voxer, it will consistently change it to Boxer with a B, like the dog, every single time. So anyhow, because I'll tell my team, I'm about to Voxer you, and it will say, I'm about to Boxer you. So Voxer is a walkie-talkie app that makes it so easy to communicate with your teams because you can set up group Voxes. So we have, I'm going to grab my phone real quick here so I make sure I'm not lying to you. We have tons of different channels within Voxer. One with my entire team. I have an exercise Voxing group with several friends I'm in a mastermind with. We have a community manager Voxering group, which has all the people that help me with my social media for my paid groups in. We have one just for social media stuff. Like there's tons of, and you can just set up on a one-off. Like I can Voxer just Vicky on my team, just Jenna. I can Voxer my husband if I want to. So what's cool about it is it's a walkie-talkie. You press the button. You can set it in your settings so you don't have to hold the button down. And it's not like Facebook Message, which cuts you off in a minute. And so Voxer is a way of sharing photos. It's a way of sending, it's like a group text that you don't have to type out with your fingers. Does that make sense? And you can easily star messages so you can come back later to them. I have gotten so many people started on Voxer. It is a huge, huge game changer for us. So that's number one. Number two, if you're somebody that owns a business, I want you to really consider doing time chunking or time blocking. So basically, here's what that looks like in my business. We set up chunks of time in our business where we just focus on certain things for a certain couple of hours. So right now, I am recording 3 podcasts back to back. we are doing time blocking, which means Jen's already in podcast mode, because what happens is otherwise Jen will record a podcast and then Jen will go check social media and then Jen will go check email and then Jen will get distracted and shiny things, squirrel, all the things. Some of you know exactly what I'm talking about right now. And what we have found is if we block out times on my calendar where for these 3 hours, Jen is doing nothing but doing podcasts, I'll get in the zone and it'll flow so much easier. If I do like this sort of batch work, instead of trying to go from email to social, to podcast, to email, to doing a Facebook Live, to doing an email, do you know what I'm saying? So time blocking has really been super helpful for us. Okay, I want you to write down this website. It's unroll.me. UNROLL.me. Okay, so unroll.me is a place where you can go online that'll help you get your inbox cleaned up. Because essentially, if you go to it, it will tell you all of the emails that you're subscribed to so that you can go through and hit a ton of them. And no offense to any of these brands, but do you really need to be on the mailing list for Old Navy and Kohl's and The Gap and Target and, 500 of your favorite bloggers, and you bought razors once at Dollar Shave Club, and now you get other things like, by the way, I love Dollar Shave Club, but do you know what I'm saying? Like, you get on so many emails and you don't think that it takes a lot of time when you open up your email in the morning and you have 20 emails to delete, but it does. And it adds to the clutter of your mind. And it's so important, I'm telling you. It's so important for you to unclutter your mind so that you have the capacity to think about things that are important. How are you going to do those things next year that you want to do when your mind is just so like all over the place with, oh gosh, I want to read that lady's blog post. And I'm so glad I got notified that that person's podcast is out for the week. And oh my gosh, I forgot about this lady. I wanted to read her stuff. And this one's, launching a course and this one's got a coupon. And you end up just feeling frazzled. And part of that frazzled feeling comes from being hit at every angle. And so when you open up your social media, you're kind of welcoming the frazzling in a way because you're basically saying, okay, I'm here, and I'm, getting ready to receive whatever kind of comes through the feed right now on social media. But when you open up your email, most of us are opening up our email because we have a job to do, right? Like we need to see the things that we need to respond to. Do I have clients in here? Do I have things on my to-do list? And that's great. But when you open up your email and you have just got nothing but clutter from companies who at one time you wanted to be on their email list, get off of those and use unroll.me to do that. And I think it goes without saying, don't unroll.me. I mean, stay on the Magic Brush and the Jennifer Allwood emails, but get out of everything else. Okay. So if you're wanting to do something next year, like launch a course, start a group, any of the things, like I said, you're going to need to get rid of some stuff. You can't just say yes to things and think that like an extra magical hour a day is going to show up on your calendar, because if you figure out how to do that, please let me know. But what you're going to have to figure out is, what are you going to get rid of? Well, I know so often in my business, I'll be like, there's nothing I can get rid of. Every single thing that we're doing that's on my calendar, it has to be done. The shipping has to be done. The payments have to be done. The returning phone calls has to be done. Like there's a lot that needs to be done, right? Well, in order for me to have more capacity for me personally, Jennifer, to do things, I have to take things off of my plate and delegate them to others. And my friends, you do too. Some of you need to get some help this year. Here's what that could look like. Hiring a college girl to come watch your kids for 3 hours a day, 3 days a week, so that you can really focus on getting that thing off the ground. Maybe it looks like you contacting someone and having them help you figure out how to start your Instagram account. Maybe it looks like you hiring a VA, which is a virtual assistant, for 3 hours a week to write your blog posts for you, because it takes you 3 hours to write a blog post. It takes her 30 minutes. This is what delegating looks like. Now listen, instantly, this is what you're going to say. I can't afford to delegate. This is the excuse I hear so often. And here is what I tell every single business owner that tells me that, honey, you can't afford not to. If it's taking you 3 hours to write a blog post and you can hire somebody for $15 an hour to spend 30 minutes writing that, what are you thinking? That is a matter of pride, my friend. That you're wanting to keep your hand in every area of your business. And while that sounds admirable to your own ears, it is not what is going to grow your business. It is going to keep you small. I hope that somebody heard me saying that just now. And I don't mean to be offensive. But when you're wanting to do every single piece of your business, usually it means because you don't trust anybody else to do anything and you're a little bit of a control freak. And that comes from a position of pride. And that is not what's going to help you to grow your business. At some point, you have to be okay with delegating over some of the things that maybe at one point you had to do, but is no longer the best use of your time. When you're looking at your business, my friends, you need to look at it and think, okay, what areas of my business am I still doing? I want to grow so bad, Jen. I want to grow. Okay, girl, what are you doing still in your business that you think you have to do, but you really don't? You don't have to be the one that puts the cute little door hanger kits in the box and gets it out the door. You don't have to be the one that does the billing every month. You don't have to be the one that returns the emails. You have convinced yourself that you do. But in my creator's roadmap right now, we're talking in the preview series about like Oprah and Joanna Gaines and how we can learn so much about their businesses because both of those women have built empires, which isn't even my goal, by the way, and it's probably not your goal. But they did it knowing that they don't have to do all the things. They don't have to do all the things. Friends, when I used to work, I did 3 episodes of Extreme Home Makeover, the TV show with Ty Pennington, okay? The designers came in for a couple hours every day just for filming, and then were gone the rest of the time. If you think that they're the ones actually there doing the stuff, I hate to break it to you and like ruin what you're thinking about, television and how it works, but that is not the case. Everybody with a successful business has a team and they have people, and your team doesn't have to be full-time and they don't have to be permanent. They can start out I just want you to do a couple hours of helping me to figure out how to schedule my Facebook posts for this week, because I want to do that in a time chunk so that I don't have to worry about it for the rest of the week. I'm telling you, some of you need to hire some help. If you are interested in knowing more about how I use Joanna Gaines and Oprah as a good example, I want you to go right now to creatorsroadmap.com. So creatorsroadmap.com is where I am currently teaching people how they can unoverwhelm themselves so that they can add some different revenue stream to their business in 2019. So that at the end of 2019, their business looks very different than it did last year. So go to creatorsroadmap.com. Another app I want you to look at is the Cozy app. Okay, so that is COZI. So Jason and I have been on Cozy for several years. It's a free app on your phone. And here's the way that we use it. Number 1, we use the grocery list feature. And at first I thought this was ridiculous. I'm like, am I really putting my grocery list in the phone? But inevitably, this is what happens. I'll try to write the grocery list down on a piece of paper. We'll lose the piece of paper. Jason will go to the store and not have the grocery list. Then he'll call me, hey, can you send me the grocery list? Then I take a picture of said grocery list. I send it to him. By the way, the grocery list has horrible Wi-Fi inside the grocery store, so he doesn't even get the text. So he's just buying anything he sees, and he comes home with hundreds of dollars worth of food that we do not need. Can anybody resonate with that story? So if you get Cozy, C-O-Z-I, it's in your app store and it's free. They have a shopping list and a to-do list, and we use both. So on our shopping list right now is my yogurt, chocolate milk for the boys, Zone Perfect chocolate chip bars. I'm literally pulling it up. Pam spray. Why do we need Pam spray? Because the kids took our bottle of Pam and literally used it on the bottom of their sleds and went sledding in the last couple of weeks. And so those are like what's on our grocery list. If right now I go into the kitchen and I'm like, we need carrots or ho-hos, either one, I can immediately put that in the grocery store. And even if Jason's at the store real time, he will see that. So we love it for the grocery list, but we also love it for the calendar, because right now, like on my calendar, I can see what we have on our personal family calendar for tomorrow, which I really don't want to do on my Google Calendar that my entire team has to see. So we've got swimming lessons with Ari tomorrow. Hopefully you listened to episode 100, by the way, where we talk about that. We've got a basketball tournament on Monday. We've got me traveling on Tuesday. So all the flight information is there. And so it just helps us as a family to be like, okay, what do we have Tuesday night? We have this. Okay, you're going to have to go with this kiddo. I'm going to have to go with this kiddo. Cozy, I'm telling you, has been such a game changer for our family. We don't use it in the business, but we do use it in the family, and it's great for time management. What we do use in the business, though, is my project manager, Jenna, finally got me to go away from what I was using for my email. It was kind of like a dinosaur software, and to sign up for G Suite for our whole team. And initially I was like, I don't want to do it. And I can tell you that as a creative person, like technology kind of freaks me out. Does technology freak anybody else out, or is it just me? By the way, next week's podcast, I've got a special podcast coming to you on Monday, and it's called Creatives versus Technology, the Monster in Our Mind. And the reason I'm doing this podcast is because one of the things, working with thousands of creative entrepreneurs every single month, one of the things that I've noticed is that technology is just our sticking point. It's just we feel like we should be able to figure it out. And that's oftentimes where our bottleneck in our business is at, with the technology. So when Jenna brought up switching our whole team over to G Suite, I internally was having a mess. It was outwardly I was compliant, but inwardly I was defiant. I was having a fit because I just kept thinking, I don't want to learn another stinking thing. Who here understands that thinking, especially as I'm 47 years old. I don't want to learn another thing. And G Suite felt like having to learn another thing. You guys, I can tell you what, after just a couple months of using it, I was like, why did we not use this years ago? One of the best things about having G Suite is that you have access for our team to use the Google Drive, which is now, I'll give you a really practical way. We have our Creators Roadmap course, which launches on February 11th. If you need the details about that, go to creatorsroadmap.com. So when that course launches, you guys are going to get a series of emails. Well, Jenna and I have co-wrote those emails. We are working on those together. So she is putting the emails in Google Drive. And so then when it's 10 o'clock at night, she just goes in the Google Drive. She does her edits. I can be in there at the same time doing my edits. It's instead of her editing it and emailing it to me and me editing it and emailing it back, like it cuts out steps. It cuts out steps, which is just seriously, when you are already busy, I know that you think that those little steps don't matter, but I'm telling you what, they add up to a huge chunk of time. So the bottom line is, when you're wanting to do something new in your business, and we talked about this last week, you're wanting to launch a course, you're wanting to start a membership group, you're wanting to start blogging, you're wanting to get sponsored and some free products sent to you. How are you going to have time to do all those things, to make the necessary phone calls, to send the necessary emails, to get those sorts of things lined up, figured out, and put in place? The only way you can do those things is if you carve out time in your schedule. And if you're like I am and you're busy, that means you're going to have to take some things off your schedule so that you can replace them with some other things. So we have a pop-up group going on Facebook right now with a bunch of other entrepreneurs who are trying to carve time out of their schedule to do something different with their business in 2019 also. You can go right now after you hear this podcast and look on Facebook for the free group. It's totally free. It's called Ramp Up Your Revenue, Get Roadmap Ready. And this is just a pop-up group, which means it's temporary. So it's only going to be here for 2 weeks until February the 15th. So if you're listening to this on February 16th, I'm so sorry, but it's gone. So sorry. So I'm asking people to just join this free pop-up group in order to figure out how they're going to carve time out. And then I want to help you inside of the group set goals for yourself for 2019. So you're going to carve some time out. I'm going to give you a quiz that's going to help you to figure out what needs to change in your business for 2019. And based on your personality and your likes and dislikes, what would be a really great thing for you to implement in your business. But then I'm also going to help you to set a SMART goal, which just means that you set goals with some parameters around them so you can actually get them done. Because there's nothing worse than like setting all these goals for the year. And then you get to the end of the year to 2019, you're like, I didn't do a fraction of what I wanted to do because I was so busy being busy. And I don't want that for you. So go to Facebook and look for Ramp Up Your Revenue or look for Get Roadmap Ready, either one. And you're going to find our free Facebook group. And we do have my entire Creators Roadmap course that opens on Monday, February 11th. And I'd love to see you in there. That's at creatorsroadmap.com. Don't forget also, we have a special podcast on that day, on Monday, February 11th, called Creatives versus Technology, the Monster in Our Mind. If you don't already subscribe to my podcast, subscribe here so that you get notified when that's out. Because next time I want to talk to my creative friends about our issues with technology and how so many of us are so resistant to social media, to technology, to change in general. And so we're going to talk about that on the podcast next week. And I can't wait. So bless you, my friends. I'm so glad that you're here. And until next week, I hope that you will stay creative. Bye-bye. And it's called Ramp Up Your Revenue, getting blah, 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 blah. if I wanted boring, like, let me just stop right there. I should probably back that up. I think many of you are going to go, now, what did she say? Also, I feel like I slur.